And welcome everybody to ANZCAR Thunder, Series 2 of 2022. I am Peter Wilkinson and I'm joined tonight by Edward Foster, but we're at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We have just finished practice. We're just about to jump into qualifying. We're both here, action-packed, ready to go for a fun night because we think there's going to be chaos ensuing. Tonight's sponsor is ANZCAR themselves. Go to ANZCAR's Facebook page if you want to sign up to or the website. Go to check out them. Actually, Edward Foster, you're the king of ANZCAR. Where can people go if they want to know more about ANZCAR? And welcome to the commentary team as well.
Thank you very much, Edward Foster, and I'm going to go AKA the second choice voice.
That's it
for tonight. After unfortunately, our good mate Carl Withy still unable to join us, still being a little bit under the weather. So, best wishes out to him. Hope to see him back in here soon. But yeah, certainly for us, ANZCAR.com is the best place to get all your information. We also have the ANZCAR Facebook page as well, and the league info page in iRacing. Good source of information, but the website probably your best stop to find out everything that's going on, and then that'll lead you to the Discord and everywhere else. So yeah, definitely.
So what do you expect to see tonight? We're at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's a track that almost everyone in iRacing has driven at some way, shape or form with all the different layouts it's got. It is one of those staples of every single league race, or not league race, every single official race if you are going to one. It's a beautiful looking track. They've just updated it. They basically update it every year, I think, about now. But fast, flowing, lots of crashes. Is that what we're expecting to see tonight, Edward?
Well, I mean, I might not be the best person to ask because we got a very unexpected race last week, didn't we? With a crazy result there at the end that I don't think anyone expected to see. So, yeah, certainly Charlotte is a place that is very, very familiar to anybody who drives stock cars, particularly on iRacing. Got the Roval layout, of course. Tonight we're on the mile-and-a-half speedway, what they call an intermediate track in oval jargon. So, look, it's going to be somewhere that's very, very familiar to everybody. So there shouldn't be any issues with anybody sort of learning the nuances of the track, and there are a few. But most people should be on top of it. I think it's a very, very well-known, very regularly run racetrack, this one. So, look, I would hope to say that we're going to see a fairly clean race. We do have a really big field. I think we've got a full field of about 42 in here tonight, if I'm counting everything correctly. And that usually leads to some early carnage. There's a few new faces in there as well. So, yeah, who knows? Who knows? I'm afraid I haven't really answered your question.
That's okay. I'm used to that. No, if we had the number one commentary person in the booth, we'd have all the answers, all the questions answered 100%. But our thoughts and wishes go out with Carl. I hope he does get better soon. We really need him because we need to lift the quality of this broadcast so people can actually tune in. Let's have a look. The guys are out there on the track now, banking their first lap and then pushing hard on the second lap because every single tenth is going to count. We are under 1/10 that separates the top 4 currently, and 2/10 for the top 10. It is one of those tracks where you need the wind behind you and the gods with you as if you want to get to the top of the table. But it doesn't really matter, does it, Edward? You can basically win from anywhere. You can. I don't know about anyone else, but you can win from anywhere on this track.
Not so far this year, but yeah, definitely. Look, it's one of those tracks where you're going to see very, very close qualifying times and a little... You know, you lift 5% too much on the throttle for half a second is going to make the difference between you being pole and potentially being 10th. The way that this place works, there's not an awful lot of off-throttle time. It's very steeply banked and high speed, and as a result, there's not an awful lot of speed differentiation between the fastest and slowest points of the track. And as a result, that leads to very, very close lap times. We've actually just seen Jaden Russell head to the top of the timesheets with a 30.703. Just eclipsing Hamish Gallagher, actually. So some fairly familiar names up there at the front and a couple of surprises as well. So should be an interesting grid.
Yeah, it definitely will be. I'm watching Skurlock go around at the moment. He's one of those ones that's always at the top, but pretty common looking top sort of 3 anyway from what we saw last week with Jaden Russell, Hamish Gallagher, Ruben Phelps in there. Skurlock goes to 4th to just add to that list. We've got Jones in there in 6th as well. Aiden Schultz in 5th. It's everywhere. I'm getting feedback from you, I think.
All right. So what we'll actually do is we'll take a moment to just run through the starting grid.
Let's see if this works.
While the drivers all sort of grid up. So you're just adjusting something there in the background to make me maybe sound a little bit better. Is that what you're saying?
No, I've got nothing. I just
no.
I can't fix it. I'll have to work it out later on. But that is definitely not the grid. I apologise. The grid is not working tonight.
That's all right. I'll run through it for everybody as the cars line up. So Jaden Russell, Hamish Gallagher, very common front row to see these days, especially in this series, with the truck race winner from Monday night, Ruben Phelps, starting alongside Michael Skurlock on the second row. Third row, Aidan Schultz and Ryan Jones keeping his feet well away from his powerboard tonight, I absolutely guarantee. And then we've got Matt Knight and Danny G sat there on row 4. Row 5, Mirko Doutnak and Stephen Williams. Tom Pritchard and Roman Yeager on row 6, row 7, Luke Georgeson and Tom Neal. And then we go back to row 8, which is Malone and Witcher, then Densley and Davies, the two Ds there on row 9. Row 10, Mickelmore and Clark, a couple of good old boys starting way back in the field down there, but we're not even close to done yet because we've got Dave Douglas and Nigel Patton there on row 11. Row 12, Finlay and Shute, Rolick and Davidson, then Closey and Spencer, Finlay and Vickers, Hobbs and Schultz, that's Jai Schultz, not Aidan Schultz, who's further up the grid. Nixon and Matt Hunter, Kai Turner, Jamie Budd. Tex Linder didn't give him too much of a shout out last week. He said that was a good sign that he was keeping out of trouble, but I'm going to mention him all night tonight just to, we'll go on Tex watch all the way from back there in 37th position.
Who was that again?
Tex Linder.
Yeah,
so we've got McLeod, Hoppett, Campbell and Tompkins, last week's third place getter, rounding out the 41 starters here tonight.
Yes, I can't wait. Just so you know, we're just as we're gridding up, about to ready to go. We've got a few new timing towers to show you tonight. Hopefully, if they work. And I don't know where that echo is coming from. There's no one else in the channel with us, so apologies, everyone. I will try and stop talking as soon as I hear that echo. But look, Charlotte, we're ready to go. It is a 120 lap race. These cars look amazing sitting there ready to go, and one car rolls backwards. But they are ready to go out on track now. The familiar front 3 or 4 there, of actually probably 5 or 6 realistically. It's great to see. A lot of new names tonight, so we'll see how they go. But yeah, championship, as we mentioned last week, an absolutely chaotic finish to round 1. It's thrown what would normally be the championship leaders into a bit of chaos. One name I'm trying to find here, where is he? The winner from last week, Luke Trahere. Is he not here this week?
Not here, not in the grid. So he hasn't made it out tonight, unfortunately, Luke Trahere, who won, obviously, last week. But we only have the one pace lap here, so we'll focus on the guys who are here. So all the drivers are going to be just rolling around. Some of them are just going to be dragging their brakes to hopefully warm their tyres up a little bit. And some will be keeping them as cold as humanly possible. It's just depending on what they're looking for, whether they're looking for initial speed or potentially wanting to protect that long run pace. So we're going to see what they're able to do here. We're going to have Russell starting off the pole, as we did mention, and he's going to have the opportunity to get a good jump away from Hamish Gallagher starting there on the outside, and expect to see Ruben Phelps from third position try to make a move down underneath Gallagher into turn 1. We'll see how it goes.
And they're ready to go as Jaden Russell once again leads the field away. Ryan Jones is back there tonight. He made the grid and they're off to go. Edward's gone with him pretty well here. It's a very, very good start. Ruben's got a good jump on the inside. Michael Skurlock's just lagging back just a little bit. Edward, look at Hamish just drop in the back there. He's going to sit there and hopefully just save everything he can while Jaden leads the race. We've got a bit of too wide happening there between Ryan Jones and is that Schultz? That's a different paint job if it is, but it's
yeah, Aiden's got a bit of a different look on the car tonight, but yeah, he's just ducked underneath Ryan Jones. And Hamish Gallagher, I reckon there may have been a little bit of communication between Russell and Gallagher there, because he certainly got away very well from outside pole there and managed to slot into second place. So he's done a fantastic job. And speaking of doing a fantastic job, the entire field still going. Even the rookies, there's no issues yet amongst anybody. We're all still clean and still green as we're coming through to complete lap 2 now as the leaders work their way through turns 3 and 4 onto the front stretch and across. Russell continues to lead.
Yeah, definitely. Everything's going a little bit slow tonight. I'm pressing buttons and it's not changing too quickly, so bear with me. The new computer is probably about a week away. We'll have a new broadcasting PC set up for that. However, we are racing. We're on board. Or not board. We're looking at Adam Malone here. He sits in the middle of the pack here. As we see the front guys are doing a pretty good job. Justin Witcher, I was just calling him the other night, doing a great job in another series that we broadcast with. Sitting mid-pack, working his way up, as he probably will with Dave Douglas, the casting couch himself right behind. Not as far up as he usually is, but it's a good place to start for him. Hopefully he can stay out of trouble tonight, which is a big key for him. Luke Georgian, though, is up a fair way up. He's 12th at the moment, which is pretty good, right behind Stevie Dubb and Raymond Yeager, looking pretty good as we see Clayton Davis making a move there, one of the newcomers. Dirt Specialist puts the move in underneath Adam Malone and gets another spot up the grid as he pushes his way back to the front. But let's go back up the front and we see Jaden Russell slowly will get there, get overtaken by Hamish Gallagher. Perfect timing, Hamish. Well done. And Ruben Phelps is right on Jaden's toe here. Hayden Schultz, the only one sitting out of line. Have you got any information on Tyre Wear at all in your skill at this track, Edward Foster? It shouldn't be a huge issue, but it will drop off at some stage, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be. Yeah, it's always going to be a case of trying to protect the tyre as much as humanly possible. Really, you're kind of left in a bit of a situation where you're trying to guess what you expect the race to be. If you expect there to be a wreck fairly quickly, do you use that tyre up and gain some positions, or do you take care of the tyre, potentially give away a few positions, and then the caution comes out and everybody gets fresh tyres again, so all that saving you did was meaningless. What do? You've got to kind of guess, and so much of this game is guessing how the race is going to play out, what are the cautions going to be, when are you going to get them, who's going to bring them out, and those kind of things. And if you've got a crystal ball, you probably win every race. But yeah, it's the wonderful unpredictability of it. But we've got a little bit of a breakaway here at front. Sort of these top 6 cars seem to have a little bit of pace. They're just pulling away from Matt Knight there, who's in 7th position, holding on just sort of tenuously there. And then there's a bit more of a gap back to Danny G and Raymond Yeager and that crew, sort of the beginning of the mid-pack, if you like. But certainly a nice little 6-car breakaway here at the front. And remains to be seen how long some of these guys can hold in, or whether they're going to string out, potentially burn their tyres up and maybe start to fall back towards those guys in the mid-pack.
Yeah, it's interesting watching this front pack. They are moving around. It's not like they're staying in one distinct line and using that draft effectively. They're actually battling or not battling, but they're definitely changing positions a lot, which I thought would have slowed them down just a little bit. But you can see there, like, there's no order to that. They're just all out amongst cooling the cars down, keeping everything all in check. But they are definitely building that gap. The Matt Knight has closed it back up just a little bit now, as Aiden Schultz gets left out to dry, but becomes the top line as Gerlach then gets left out to dry. So
yeah, just running side by side the way they are will definitely slow them down. But talking about the draft, a lot of people sort of talk about the draft being key in NASCAR, and it is, it plays a part. But a lot of the time, people are thinking of super speedway racing when they think about the importance of it. It's not really so much of a factor here. Like a well-driven car running alone can easily chase down a pack that might be sort of running together and maybe jostling or may not be driving quite as well. So it's not the be-all and end-all the way it is at a place like Talladega or Daytona, but it looks as though everybody sort of picked that low line at the moment as being the preferred line. We probably will see a few guys try to make moves around, especially as the tyres wear off. Quite often when the tyres are fresh, running around the bottom is the best place to be, and then as they wear off, you kind of want to migrate up the track a little bit. Guys like Dave Douglas like to explore that quite a lot. You'll see a guy like him sort of moving around the track, trying to run the wall, testing that out, and he's probably one of those guys who really likes to try and pioneer that and run up around the wall and test what can be done there. And of course, if it works for him, you'll see people taking notice of that and sort of gradually moving up the track as well. So we're only 11 laps in at the moment, so we're kind of coming up to maybe the 15, 20 lap mark. You might see a few guys start to migrate a little bit more towards that top line, but at the moment, it really does seem that the bottom lane is the place to be, and all the leaders certainly, they're very happy with where they are, all just sort of running line astern at the moment, waiting for somebody to be the pioneer and test out and maybe try and get another line, maybe prove that another group's got something in it.
Definitely. As we go, we start to have a look back down the pack. In 26th place is Jai Schultz. We mentioned him before. The other Schultz, they're battling out to see which one's the better Schultz each week. But Jai Schultz is back 7 positions up, though, from his starting position of 33. So it's a very good run so far. It is one. I just wanted to show off the timing tower here. We're going to go to the positions gained. If it works, there we go. So that's the top 15. It's not going to roll through the top 20, so I need to fix that one. Oh, no, there it is. It's slowly doing it. So you can see there Malone is up 6 places as well. So, down 6 places. But yeah, Schultz there, 26, is up 7 places, the biggest move overall. Raymond Jaeger up 3. Dennis Densley is up 5 in the top 20 there. That's a pretty good effort as well. So let's go back to the real thing, which is there's a 3 tenths gap up front as Hamish Gallagher has just kicked away a little bit. Something that we did not expect to see at this stage of the race. There must have been just a little bit of battling going on there, but it seems to be just a little bit of gap there between all the front crews. So something must have happened there. We're in the cockpit here. I didn't want to go there. I wanted to go to the gearbox as we look backwards and look at Jaden Russell trying to close that gap back up, and the rest of that group. But there's definitely a bit of a gap happening at the front. Did you expect that this early on in the race, Edward?
Yeah, I did actually. I wouldn't be surprised to see a guy like Hamish, who's actually really good on his tyres, and Russell, who's made so many strides in the way that he drives these cars in recent months, I suppose, start to pull away once the tyre wear really became a factor, and we've got a few of the other guys just sort of falling back. Guys who were battling and running side by side earlier on, maybe just paying a little bit of price for that right now, as they're falling back. We've got Skurlock, Phelps and Jones in their own little trio. It looks as though Ryan's potentially looking to make a move. Phelps covers him off as he has a look of his own ahead of that. He does like a block every now and again, Ruben, so I'm not surprised to see him make that little move down. And it looks as though Ryan's going to go, okay, well, you go low, I'm going to go high. There's a political slogan in there somewhere, but he went low. Ryan's gone high, right around the outside. It looks as though we've actually lost Steve Hoppett from this race.
Oh, yeah.
He's actually just taken the car behind the wall. So anyway, Jones moves into 4th place ahead of Ruben Phelps. And we did promise you a Tex watch. Tex Linder, he's sitting there, started 37th. He's up 1 spot, 36th, running in there behind Matt Hunter. And a little bit of a thing about Tex the other week, he did mention over the voice comms that he was wearing his helmet tonight. A lot of people might not have actually got that reference, but in the Weekend Warriors 87s race, where we run the old 1987 cars, he's got his sim rig set up in his shed, and I believe it was his dog or his cat or something like that actually knocked over a motorbike, which then fell on his head. And I believe he uses VR, had no idea this thing was coming, and he got clobbered in the head by a motorbike. So still managed to finish the race with all that going on, and swears that he's wearing his helmet now every time that he puts on that VR headset.
That's fair to do. As he's battling there, trying to get a spot on, one of the other names is ANZCAR, Matty Hunter, who is out there having a bit of fun there at the back of the field, as he always does. Hamish has jumped out to a half a second lap here. I just want to quickly show as well, we've got previous lap data. So this is where you can see just how much quicker Gallagher is going than a few of the other cars out there. Like, it's not a huge amount, but it's definitely, when you take the first 2 out of it, he's lapping 2 tenths or 10.5 quicker than Jones every single lap, and almost 2 seconds a lap quicker than Skurlock, and these 2 tenths of a second quicker than.
Could I say it's not Skurlock. 2 seconds a lap?
No, not yet. Give it some time,
2 tenths around here. 2 tenths around here may as well be 2 seconds. It's a lot of time around a 30-second lap. That's for absolute certain. So yeah, he's breaking away at the front. Looks as though that Coke Supra is handling really, really well at the moment. And yeah, it doesn't look as though too many others have got an answer for him. It'll be interesting to see how Jaden Russell actually plays this. Is he going to push really hard, potentially risk burning those tyres off, trying to catch up to Hamish, or is he just going to consolidate, run the race the track, and try to keep the rest of those guys at bay?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We will get back up to Jaden when my computer catches up. It had a really good moment there. It was actually looking pretty good as we go back up the front there, just to see. We've
just got Phelps coming underneath Skurlock at the moment, actually making a position.
Oh, Ryan Jones has got up to third as well.
Yeah, Jones up to third, and Phelps looks as though he's taking fourth away from Skurlock, just behind at the line.
Danny G.
But he is on that preferred bottom line. Danny G, as you say, making his way. He's up a couple of spots as well.
It's a very good drive from Danny G. I did see his name getting up on that timing tower. I didn't realise just how far up he's got. That's a very good drive from him.
Well, he started 8th and now he's 6th, so it's 2 spots.
That's a very good drive in this field.
We can calm down on that a little bit.
No, this is the drive of the century, mate.
drive of the century. I think that's 3 spots now he's made, so yeah, definitely.
Let's have a look. No, I won't keep on going back to that. It's good to see him up there anyway. I haven't called his name in a race for a very long time, which is really good to see. Blaine Densley, we mentioned before, was up 5 spots. He's now also up 9 spots. So if you want to get excited about that as well. Very good effort from him as he gets there in front of Dave Douglas. No,
it's Aiden Schultz that he's actually ahead of there. Yeah, so Schultz has fallen down the order just about as much as Densley's worked his way up. So, yeah, 1 car going forward, 1 going backwards at the moment. Aiden will definitely be trying to reverse that trend. Might just need to cool down his tyres a little bit. He might even be doing that right now. And then as soon as he's done that, he'll have another go. But he does look as though he's still driving pretty hard into those corners. And that might have a little bit to do with why his pace is falling away.
Now, we talked up so many crashes at the start of this race. We have not had one. How good are we at commentators' curse in opposite as we look at Josh Micklemore? I wonder where Trev is. Wish Trev is usually in chat having a go, but first driver into plus 10 moves. So he's up a double figure, sorry. So Josh Micklemore up 10 places as he charged up through the field. As we see, Matty Knight off screen has just got past Michael Skurlock as well to go through with Ruben Phelps, as Danny G has made a breakaway from that group and is taking down Ryan Jones.
Well, that might be something to talk about when it actually happens. But yeah, no, he's certainly making his way up there quite well. Skurlock just starting to fall backwards a little bit too, which is a little bit surprising. I thought he would have been one of the guys who was had that decent long run pace, though it looks as though he's just sort of dropping off just that little bit. And certainly no surprise to see Micklemore climbing up from that 20th place start as well. You know, when he starts down there, he's not going to stay down there for very long. Must have had a bad qualifying, but certainly making his way towards certainly what he would consider to be his rightful position a little bit further up the order.
Yeah, definitely. As we start to see some of the times venture out into the 33s right now. So Hamish still holding it in front at the 32 second mark, but he's coming up on some lap traffic slowly. But yeah, he's definitely one of the faster cars out there on the track. Danny G, technically the fastest one on the track at the moment, but would be interested to see. I don't think there's a huge amount of traffic. It's just 1 car just up ahead. It's Noddy. We had him in the booth last week, but here he is about to get taken by Hamish Gallagher as they cross the start-finish line for the 28th lap.
Yeah, looks like Glenn McLeod, that one that driving the 84.
Oh, it is Glenn McLeod, sorry. Yeah,
McLeod's actually just dropped off the lead lap, and I believe Noddy is definitely next. In fact, Gallagher, you're right. Gallagher has gone past Noddy now. So he's got. Oh, we got a car up into the wall as well, a little bit further back. I think that actually was McLeod. He's run up into the wall, just trying to keep out of the way, and that can be something that's a little bit difficult for some of the newer guys. You know, they're used to running that bottom line. They don't necessarily practice running up on the non-preferred line, which is always something that you should do. And he's just tried to stay out the way of the leaders there and just given the wall a little scrape. But he'll live to fight another day with that. They won't kill him.
Yeah, definitely. So he's doing well. I'm glad I actually got something right accidentally. That was really good. I enjoy that. Oh, he's hit the wall again in there in the background as we changed away from him. Oh, here we go. There it is. The first crash of the race caught live as 62 is on its roof.
Yeah, Mirko's got caught up with that one, unfortunately. So if you have a look back at it, you can see that McLeod's trying to keep out the way. He's bounced off the wall a couple of times, and Mirko actually, McLeod hasn't really caused that. Mirko's come along, gone one way, gone the other way, was a little bit wrong-footed by him, and has tried to turn out to take him on the outside. Lost the rear end, cannoned off the fence, and has actually taken out McLeod as well as part of that. So unfortunate for both of those guys. Looks as though he just got wrong-footed and lost the rear end. Simple.
Yep, definitely. Let's just go back a bit on board and just see at full pace how interesting it is from that angle when you are going at such a speed. He just,
Yeah, he'll be a bit disappointed with that. He tried to change direction quite quickly and just unfortunately lost the back end. But normally you kind of have that on really old tyres, but the tyres aren't that old. So, yeah, I don't think he'll be too happy with that. But in any event, we've got the leaders coming down the pits now. I think just about everybody is in.
That is it. So I'm putting up the timing tower. We'll see how this goes. See if it's a live stop. No, that's not really working. My computer's going super slow. Can't wait for this new PC. So Hamish Gallagher gets the run off the line and keeps the lead with Ryan Jones coming in behind him. And Danny G grabbing third from him by the look of it. Jaden Russell's still sitting on the pit lane. Is that a penalty or did he get some damage or what's happened there?
Not exactly sure. It looked like a really long stop, but he's taken. Just having a look at him, he's taken 4 tyres. Definitely, looks like everybody did that, and then he just held for a minute. I can't see any damage on that car, but I also don't necessarily know of a penalty that would just hold him for a couple of seconds like that. So maybe he had a bit of trouble grabbing a gear or something like that, or maybe he stalled. I honestly don't know. I couldn't tell you. But in any event, that's actually dropped him a fair way down the order. Gallagher keeps his lead, but he's also got Ryan Jones now sitting there in P2 with Danny G, the hype man, all the way up there in P3.
Just interesting. Look at those times. Aiden Schultz, it was Jai Schultz at 9 seconds. So he's grabbed probably just the 2 tyres.
2 tyres, yeah. He's either only topped it up with fuel and not taken any, or he's taken 2. In fact, I can go back and have a quick look at that, and I can tell you exactly what he's done. But definitely an interesting strategy to jump him up the order if he's done either one of those, which I can only assume that he has. And it was just fuel for Jai Schultz. So he saved a set of tyres, hoping for something a little bit later on. That's vaulted him all the way up onto the cusp of the top 10. He's sitting there in P11 at the moment. Would expect, obviously, with that amount of wear, 30 laps on those tyres, to see him drop like a rock all the way back to where he started. But you never know. There could be a few cautions there, and it could all work out for him. So I always rate a strategy gamble, and I like it. Yeah,
so just quickly, that going back to that Jaden Russell pit stop, 26.3 seconds. As you can see, 14 and 15 on the top one. So it's a 12-second hold. So as you're right, there's no penalty that is a 12-second hold. It would have been way longer than that. So interesting.
Unless possibly sped on the way in, but normally for speeding, it'll hold you longer if you take a service, and he definitely took service. So I
wonder if he's bumped the wall there and we didn't quite see it, maybe when those cars split up a little bit. But I don't know. It's an interesting little bit. As we see the 77 car in front, it'll get let past. That's Ben Vickers.
Yes, it will. Yep.
But yeah, it's the top 3 currently: Hamish Gallagher, Ryan Jones, Danny G, Ruben Phelps, Michael Skurlock. Top 5 there. Matt
That's
Knight.
more of a top 5.
Yeah, I know. As Carl said, Carl, I hope you're going really well, but he's in our chat at the moment saying Wilco gets something right, 100% accident. That is how it works, unfortunately, as they line up 2 by 2, 1 lap to go.
Yeah. He could be talking about himself, though, because, I mean, he's got Wilkinson in his surname as well, so Wilco could be anybody.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yes. So we're not even sure, but, professional outfit we've got going here, but yeah, certainly. Anyway, so we're 1 to green. The cars go 2 by 2 once again. Hamish Gallagher still leading, as you would expect. as we mentioned earlier on. Ryan Jones is going to be starting outside of him. There's going to be no communication between those two. I can guarantee it. However, you would expect Gallagher and Danny G to be in communication as they are teammates. So expect to see Gallagher and Danny G get away very well on that bottom lane, and expect the top lane to be struggling to keep up a little bit. So we'll see what happens here, but I expect to see those top two dart away into first and second.
Yeah, it's pretty safe bet there. It'd be interesting to see if Jones can get down in front of Skurlock then and take that third position. But Jones has shown a little bit of speed tonight. Ruben Phelps, Danny G's the one to look out for, whether he can get past Hamish or he just sits behind Hamish, being teammates to just taking it. That's a pace car is in. The green flag goes as Hamish and Danny G, as predicted, jump out to 1-2. See if Ryan Jones can get down to the inside, as he does. And Ruben Phelps and Michael Skurlock there to fight it out for fourth position. But Hamish has got a significant lead on his teammate there. It's a very good effort for a good start. Almost 3/10 already, as Ryan Jones and Ruben Phelps aren't playing nice. But Ruben finally gets in front to get onto that podium position as they tuck in behind Danny G. And we have got half a lap without an incident. This is good stuff. That yellow car, is that that's Glenn McLeod out of position? No, that's not.
No, McLeod's in a blue and white car in the
That's
84,
right.
so yeah, not 100% sure who that is, but yeah, certainly Ruben throwing a nice little Ruben block down there onto Ryan Jones when he had a look down underneath him. Ryan's not taking no for an answer though. He's having a look down. Ruben's moving around a lot going into the corner there and trying to force Ryan to the outside, which of course he's perfectly entitled to do. Not sure if I'd be doing it this early in the run because it's really hurt his momentum, and you can see that there in the way that Jones has managed to get underneath him now. And looks as though Skurlock's looking for a piece of the action. All these guys on fresh tyres are going to be fighting over that bottom line, hoping to get down there. And Ruben, for all his aggression, is now kind of hung out there a little bit on the top where he doesn't want to be. He's now got another chance to sort of filter in. He's just trying to cover off Knight, who's trying to have a look underneath him as well. And now has left Knight, and I believe that is Densley there side by side. And it looks as though Densley might have even got a really good run off that turn 4. And is he going to be able to clear Knight? He's actually done it. Knight's taken a bit of a bobble over the grass. And yeah, Densley's actually got that position. So he's going to slot in right behind Ruben.
Yeah, no, it's a very good move from him. He's up many positions, as we were talking about before. As he goes in underneath Ruben Phelps, he sets himself up for this corner here, just basically dives down in and easily takes the position away as Ruben Phelps jumps in behind, not to go any further back. Ryan Jones at the front, though, is past Danny G and chasing down Hamish Gallagher, but we just saw there Josh Micklemore might be moving up the inside of Knight there as well. No, doesn't quite get it to happen. And sort of pulls it back and slows up Aiden Schultz there. But yeah, no, it's very good fighting so far. Very clean racing, which is what we like to see, as they go a little bit too wide down the back there. But at the front, it's all good racing.
Yeah, Densley's the one who's interested me at the moment. The way that he sort of handled this restart, he's gained a lot of spots. He's having a look underneath Skurlock now as well, and I wonder if he's being a little bit too aggressive, maybe just going in there a little bit too hard, and that pace that he's got isn't going to last. Because if he can make this pace last, the pace that he's showing at the moment, he's going to be in first before too long. You know, he's really, really flying. And doing a great job as he comes up here to have a look at Danny G. It looks as though he's going to go underneath him, have a look. No, he's going to slot him behind for the time being. But he does look as though he's pushing very, very hard. So I wonder if in 10 to 15 laps that pace is still going to be there for him.
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting one. We've seen it happen so many times, especially with newer names to the series. But yeah, he might be best just to sit there and sit behind Danny G, because I don't think they're going too fast. As we go up front here, Ryan Jones does put it down the inside of Hamish Gallagher to take the lead of the race on the 40th lap of the race at 1/3 race distance.
Yeah, I know Hamish isn't having a bar of that. He'll just be quite happy to slot in behind. He doesn't want to get caught in a side-by-side battle at all with anybody, least of all Ryan, I think. So he'll just slot in behind and run in the wake for a little while there and make his move back when the time is right, if he's able to maintain the pace. And there's no reason to suggest he wouldn't be able to. But Jones certainly is showing a really good pace at the moment. He's going to enjoy his time in the lead. And we never know. He may be able to hold it there for the remainder and maybe in contention at the end of the race. We'll see.
Yep, definitely. As Ryan just gets away a little bit, but Densley has made that move stick on Danny G and is now chasing down Hamish as well. So we could have a three-way battle at the front again, which would be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I think Densley's pushing really hard at the moment. He must be. I mean, these guys, Skurlock, Danny G, Ruben, Hamish, guys like that, these are not slow guys. You don't have that amount of pace over guys like that. There just isn't the pace there. So he's either pushing very, very hard or he is exceptional at this track. So, yeah, we're going to have to see how that actually turns out, but certainly is a good watch for now.
Just looking at the previous lap times, it's plateauing out a little bit now, but him and Ryan Jones were both significantly quicker than Hamish Gallagher last lap, but pretty even with the rest of the field at the moment in that top 15 or so, as they look so beautiful coming along that straight there, the back straight there, all nice in line. But yeah, be interesting to see. He's right on the back of Hamish now. We've got Ryan Jones. Did he have a car in front of him then as well? Just can't get the camera to come
Essentially, yeah. He's just getting around Glenn McLeod, who's trying to keep right out of the way on the bottom this time, not wanting to run right out against that wall because we know what happened the first time that happened. It all went horribly wrong.
Yep.
So he's just tucking to the inside there and letting the field pass him up high. And once they all file by, he will continue on his merry way. As we just see Skurlock now just having a little bit of a look underneath Danny G. And it looks as though Densley has just started to lose that pace. I'm not sure of the actual comparative lap times, but certainly Danny G taking chunks out of that gap now.
Yeah, so currently last lap, yeah, he's definitely 1/10, almost a tenth and a half slower than all the cars around him. So it'd be interesting to see how long he can hold on to that pace, and if he does start dropping back. As in the background there, in the blue and white car, getting very sideways. I'm trying to think, is that Kobe Jordan?
Yeah, it might have been. I did see that car get out sideways, but I didn't jump onto it quickly enough.
It is.
Was keeping an eye on the gap between sort of Skurlock, Danny G. Remember, Skurlock didn't have brilliant long run pace the first time round. He was pretty good and he hung on for the first few laps on the tyres. But Skurlock's also one of those guys that if he does burn off his tyres or something like that in the first stint, he's going to recognise that and he's going to change things. He's going to change things for the next stint. So, that's obviously. So, although he does still look as though he's diving in quite hard into the turns. He took a chunk of time out of Danny G on the way into turn 3 there, and that's normally the way that you burn up the right front. So I'm not sure if Danny's going in quite slow. I know by his own admission, Danny's one of the easier, gentler corner entry type drivers. He doesn't take a lot out of the car on corner entry, so it's not that much of a surprise to see cars gaining on him there. Whether or not that just means that Skurlock's pushing in there a little bit hard, I'm not sure. But in any event, time will tell. And Ruben Phelps just sitting there keeping watching brief. And Josh Mickelmore all the way up now to sit on the back of this leading pack in P7. And expect him, now that he's up with his more familiar crew, he's going to be looking to move forward from there too.
Yeah, definitely. The lead still hovers around that 0.7 of a second mark as Hamish and Ryan Jones sit 1-2. There's some names back in the field that we'll go back and have a look at. Matty Hunter, the man, the myth, the legend, he's up 10 places at the moment. Doing a great job there, coming through the field as he does. I wanted to quickly shout out, every time I looked at it, the new gun Clayton Davies was sticking his nose out looking to overtake, but I think he's heading slowly backwards at the moment as Jaden Russell makes his way back through the field after that 12-second longer pit stop than everyone else. So doesn't seem to be quite having it so easy getting past him, but he's should be able to get past him as they battle away in the background behind Kobe Jordan there. There's 3 to 4 wide with some after dark racing action there from, that should be Tom Neal or Nigel Patton. That'd be Nigel Patton.
Yeah, there's a few in there.
No, it is Tom Neal, sorry.
Yeah, you've got Patton and Neal and Kobe in there as well. So there's a nice little dogfight going in there right now for sort of the mid-teens in terms of position. Unfortunately, for all those who are joining me on Text Watch, it's all gone horribly wrong. He's on pit road at the moment. He's about 17 laps down and actually picked up a little bit of damage in that caution, I believe. He may have even clipped Mr. McLeod as he was spinning around. So unfortunate for him, but it looks as though he's out of contention.
That is a shame, as I just wanted to go to the front quickly because it's down to 4/10, and Hamish Gallagher is making some good inroads into this lead. So the front pack just looks like a normal front pack again after they were so strung out only probably 10-15 laps ago. Just quickly, let's go to the stint length at the moment. The current stint length, they've been 20 to 21 laps since the last pit stop happened. So it is that time when you're starting to think cars might start to drift off, but let's see how quickly they do drop off, as not many of them are in the 33s yet. It's definitely about half a second quicker than what they were going, obviously, when they first came out, as Blaine gets very high there, almost into the fence, but a nice exit.
Yeah, tell you what, Gallagher's starting to move back on the back of Jones now, as we saw Jones charge out pretty hard off that restart, make up those positions, get to the front. And now Gallagher certainly has got the speed on him and is sort of starting to come back. And Densley, though, he's not got the pace advantage that he had, but he hasn't really fallen off, though. I would have expected, with the way he was charging forward, perhaps Danny G to have made a move on him by now. But, he's hanging in there. He's hanging in there in third, so that's going all right. And we did mention Jai Schultz earlier on. Remember, he took he took no tyres in the pit stop and vaulted himself all the way up the order into P11, and now he's all the way back in 34th. Yes. Last car on the lead lap.
I was just trying to find him then. It was, I didn't realise he'd gone that far.
Here goes Hamish. Hamish underneath Jones. Jones gives him a little bit of a squeeze. No harm in that. No contact between the two of them. He'll try to hang in around the outside. If he's smart about it, he'll just drop in behind Hamish now, not fight that too hard. There's no point fighting that on the outside right now. You're just going to burn those tyres off more. He's already sort of... they get very, very close here, don't they?
They do.
He's already kind of charged out hard. It's already obviously carrying a little bit of a tyre deficit, the Hamish. There's no point hanging on around the outside, holding on to 1 inch of overlap, trying to, it's just a no-win situation from there. It's not going to happen. The best thing for him to do is what he has done now, which is just back out of it, slot in behind Hamish and try and get those tyres cooled down, because you can resurrect them a little bit just by getting some temperature out of them. So if he focuses on doing that now, he may be able to at least hold on to the back of the 13.
Yeah, you got to remember, he's also got Blaine behind him, who is probably in a similar boat to him. I would have expected. Actually, look, Skirley was pushing pretty hard as well before, and obviously they didn't have the best long pace in the first stint. So maybe it's a good spot for Bees. Maybe he's a little bit safe just there. Just try and hold on to Hamish as long as he can. Just want to jump back. Jaden Russell making his way. He's got past Clayton Davies, as we saw before, but he's also now got past Aiden Schultz, as he's back on the edge of the top 10 with 2 cars in front of him that he's got well and truly in his sights. Other than that, Nigel Patton's making some good moves, up 9 positions at the moment, leading that pack that's sort of sitting in the middle there. Watching that, the better pack up, the quicker pack up front that we were just looking at before. But the field is getting very strung out now, as Hamish takes control of this race.
Yeah, so Gallagher's sitting there out the front. Russell's now, he's just sort of working on the back of Knight. It looks like he's going to look at potentially making a move there, and he'll probably... He had a lot of pace earlier on, so you'd expect him to continue that march up the field, certainly.
Danny G has moved up into third as he takes Blaine down through out of exit to turn 4 by the look of it. So Danny G's starting to find some pace, and Blaine is starting to lose some as Michael Skurlock probably starts to line him up in the next lap or two as well. But look on the back of that, Josh Micklemore up 14 places, ready to go to get up into that top 5 where he is usually sitting. If you go just a little bit further back, Davey Douglas is also making a charge up the field as well. Very, very familiar names up front at the moment. This series is known for people like Dave Douglas and Ruben Phelps and Ryan Jones and Hamish Gallagher for being up the front. It's good to see Blaine Densley changing that a little bit and putting up a good fight to them all.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this series is about. It does sit in the tier below the Cup, both in real life and in ANZCAR. It sits below as sort of the second tier. So the whole reason that it's there is to sort of serve as that intermediary between between the truck series where guys may start out and then they may run a few of these races and then they might come along and try to qualify for some cup races as well. So it's good to see some new names coming along and sort of getting up there into the top 4 and 5, you know. And I think even if Blaine does fade from here, and I'm not suggesting that he would, because he looks as though he's kind of stabilised there, even if he has just recently lost a position, but he's still giving a good account of himself. You know, we've been on green for a certain number of laps now, you know, good few laps. And he's still hanging up there in front of guys like Skurlock and Mickelmore, hanging on the tail of Danny G and so on. So he's given a really good account of himself tonight. And what he's doing there in terms of getting up there and mixing it, matching it with some of the regular cup guys is exactly what this series is for. So it's really good to see him running there up front. Names like Matt Knight as well, who's been around a little while, but, you know, it's sort of on a semi-regular basis, and some of the others. Yeah, it's really good to see. You know, there are some guys having really solid nights a bit further down. Don't forget, we had a 42 car field here tonight, and we've got guys like Clayton Davies, Tom Neal, you know, sort of running there in the top half of the field. So it's really good to see.
Here we go.
As we've got a caution.
Jai Schultz has dropped a fair way off the pace here. He's coming out of the pits. That's not the caution. Oh, here we go. Nigel Patton is slowed down significantly.
Yeah, he's all banged up. I'd say he's involved. What's happened there?
He's got the signs, doesn't he? Let's go back.
Yeah, he's gone into the side of Malone there. It's actually a bit hard to see what the case was there. He's gone in under Malone. I think Malone's got a little bit sideways on the entry to the corner as well, which has cost him a little bit of speed, and then just 2 into 1 didn't go.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's got the 15 car there, right, Tom Pritchard, right up his tail, and he gives him a bump. That's what it is.
Yeah, but
Pritchard,
it's not
a huge amount.
Yeah, the reason there was that overlap in the first place is the fact that Malone got a little bit sideways. It wasn't much, but it was just enough.
Oh, the 064 of Brent Hobbs, who I was going to shout out before, has come to grief in this as well. I think he's just pulled it up and locked it up.
Just clobbered straight into that, unfortunately.
No damage to the car. He's going to need new tyres, but that's not the worst result in the world.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. He'll get away with that and live to fight another day. Meanwhile, everybody's come down the lane as you'd expect. We're just keeping an eye. I'm just keeping an eye on Hamish Gallagher at the moment. He's out. Jones is out. Yeah, all the leaders are going to filter out pretty much in the same order as they were before, it looks like. And just while we're under caution here, we might just have a quick recap of the drivers that we've lost from this race. Wesley Closey, he is actually still out there, I believe. Possibly. Yes, he is out there, but he is 11 laps down. Glenn McLeod, he's taken that car behind the wall, sitting there 29 laps down at the moment. We've lost Tex Linder, as we talked about earlier on. Mirko, of course, in that first caution, Mirko Dortnack going out of the race.
We have actually got a new leader.
Brett Campbell and Steve Hoppert as well out of the race.
So Justin Witches decided to stay out, and he's actually leading the pack. I've got on my timing board, which is where he's sitting right now. So he has 32 lap old tyres, along with Braden Shute, has stayed out there as well. Got some track position, but as we saw, Jai Schultz, it did not work out for him before.
Yeah, look, I can't. As I say, I do like people running different strategies, but I can't envision a way in which that's actually going to work out. I mean, if we were close to the end of the race, maybe. You know, we might see a situation like we saw with Trahair last week, where he stayed out at the end, managed to hold everyone off, where we had a spate of cautions there at the end, and he ended up being able to bring that home as the race finished under caution. But we've still got almost half the race to go. And unless we get another caution immediately, he's going to drop like a stone there. And even if we go like 10 laps or something like that, that's not going to be enough to send everyone else down the pit lane. So he must be thinking to himself about trying to keep a fresh set of tyres for late in the race in case something happens that works out for him. But certainly, I can't see a way in which he isn't going to absolutely drop the second the green flag comes out. But as we say, it might pay off later with that extra set of tyres in hand. We don't know.
I did mention Braden Shute before. He has actually gone into the pits since on the next lap around. So Justin Witcher is the only one out there that's been on that has not pitted in this cycle of the caution. It will be very interesting to see. Jai Schultz will get a lap back here in
he'll get the wave around. He'll get the wave around in a minute.
That still leaves him a lap down, is my reading on it. I can't never work this out.
Possibly. No, I think he may be. We'll have a look. He's on a bit of an alternate strategy, isn't he? You know, we know that he sort of ran that strange strategy with the tyres, not taking tyres in that first stop, and now he's just sort of working his way around. So I believe he still remains a lap down, and he's actually behind Adam Malone. Adam Malone's sitting in the lucky dog spot at the moment, and will get his lap back if we see another caution. He's sitting there as the first car 1 lap down.
As long as he's not involved in said caution. I learnt that. I knew that already, but I saw that in effect on Monday night when I was racing for the first time in my new rig, and I was second on the lead lap and got the lucky dog because old mate in front decided to tag a car on the way through. So as long as you don't get an X in an incident, you still get the lucky dog. So
that's right, yeah. And as long as you don't stop, if you stop, it also counts you as being involved in that incident too. So you don't necessarily have to get contact. Skurlock having a lot of connection issues there. I hope he gets that sorted out. That's going to be a nightmare with this slower car in front as well. But anyway, Witcher leading the race at the moment. We are 2 by 2. We're ready to go green. And we're going to have to see what Witcher actually does here. Is he going to play it safe and just kind of not fight anybody? I can imagine that's probably going to be the best way to do it. If he decides to start fighting for positions, this could get real messy real fast. So we're going to find out as the pace car pulls off. When's Witcher going to go? He's got to be careful accelerating on those old tyres. They're going to be cold and they're
Jones
old.
is there ready to go, isn't he?
Yeah, he's waiting.
He's giving a touch.
He wants to wait until the car's nice and straight.
Oh.
He doesn't want to be turning the car. And he still gets the thing really, really squirrely. And Jones showing his usual patience levels there, getting right under his bumper. I imagine he's not going to want to stay behind him for too long. He's going to want to get up and around him. So
look at those cars go around the outside. This is going to get messy quick. We are 3 wide at the front.
Witcher's got to back out of that, and he's on the outside, and he probably will. Jones has dropped a few positions, but he hasn't wrecked. Everyone's safe. It's okay. So that's all right. We got away with it. We got away with it so far.
Oh, as I think Clayton Davies took the wall there in the background as well. As I try and change to a different driver, my thing is not updating at all. There we go. Back to the front. Hamish Gallagher is, as we thought, taking a good lead here. Fresh tyres. Gurley is blinking all over the place at the moment. Jaden Russell there poking his nose out to take 2 cars into the next corner.
He's brave. He's brave. Going underneath a new guy and another new guy, making it 3 wide.
3 wide.
And then there's Witcher there as well, sitting in the middle. So yeah, he's. Oh, I don't know if I would have done that, but he got away with it, and he's got through, so he's okay. He's used to the dirt driving where everything's really close quarters, so he'll be fine with that. He won't worry.
Yeah, which is Skirley's in a big trouble here. I don't think Skirley will be around for much longer. He's pulled right down low. He's blinking all over the shop. It would be a nightmare being Knight or even Blaine behind there. Yeah, there he goes. He just vanishes into thin air. Will he come back? I don't think so. I haven't officially got him gone yet, but he's not quite there. So Josh Micklemore is ahead of Danny G and chasing down Hamish Gallagher. 18 spots. Him and Dave Douglas both up. Just having a look at that. No, there was nothing really in their pit strategy that was any different. They were 14.4 seconds. Both of them. So Josh Micklemore and Dave Douglas are just having a really good run tonight from their qualifying position. They don't even have Skurlock as a time last sector. But yeah, the battle is going on at the front still, as Skurlock is right in between everyone at the moment. Blaine just needs to get past him and put him out of his vision. But Ryan Jones has gone backwards a little bit from that start, unfortunately, because of getting stuck behind Witcher, as Witcher is now down to 17th position. So all that time, he really needed another caution straight away to keep that track position. Unfortunately, didn't come for him.
Yeah, he certainly did. Yeah, he must be playing the long game, just trying to keep an extra set of tyres in there. What he's really going to be hoping, though, is he doesn't drop a lap
Yes.
in the time that it's going to take. Ruben throwing another block on Ryan Jones then as Jones looks to the inside. He's not shy with the blocks tonight. That's for absolute certain.
No.
Blaine Densley's blown the motor. He's just called out that he's blown the motor. So that's unfortunate. He was having a great run. He was sitting up there still in the top 10. And he was carrying a little bit of damage on the front. And, yeah, that motor's gone. And he did exactly the right thing there as well. He called it out. He let all the other drivers know on the radio that his motor was gone. And he got the thing down onto the apron as quick as possible, gets it down to the pit lane, and we remain under green. So that's a big round of applause for him. He's done an awesome job there to get that off the track.
Yeah, we're talking about a new person to the league and putting on a great show, but that is a great effort for what was unfortunately a bad thing to happen. But yeah, he dealt with that extremely well, so well done, Blaine.
Yeah,
good run tonight.
Absolutely.
As Ruben Phelps finds himself in front of Dave Douglas, not going to let Dave pass us. Dave always seems to look loose in the rear on his cars every time he races. I don't know what it is, but coming out of that corner before, he was definitely very loose on the back of Ruben Phelps. But Ruben is lining up Danny G here, whether he takes him or not. What do you reckon?
We got a Mitch Motorsports 1, 2, 3 at the front there as Danny throws a little bit of a block, paying Ruben back in kind. Just like, all right, you can throw a couple of blocks and I can do the exact same thing when you look underneath me. But it does look as though the 06 is carrying a little bit of extra pace over Danny G at the moment. But how much is that? Is Danny G just playing the long game? Because Danny has been good on his tyres the entire way through, but we see them go too wide now. And I would say that if Danny is concerned about tyres, he'd let him go, but no, he sticks it out around the outside, gets a really good run off that turn onto the front stretch. So, yeah, he maintains that position, and now Ruben's tyres from running that tighter line are going to be a little bit hot for maybe a corner or two, and we're going to have Dave have a look at that as well. So he's just fallen off the bat. He's coming under a little bit of pressure from Ryan Jones, and Ryan is having a look underneath, but he's not able to get the job done either. So it's all, everyone's starting to have looks now. They're starting to get a little bit edgy. We're into the second half of the race. Lap 75 of 120, and everyone's starting to look towards the end of the race now and trying to set themselves up. So it's not as nice and relaxed as it was in the early stages. Now they're sort of really looking to get themselves set.
Yeah, as we quickly, I got Matty Raymond in chat going at car on SRM. I made this beautiful position gain table for you, Matty, because I know you're the star of it, and you're just not here tonight, so you can't be on it, unfortunately. But Davey Douglas,
he's got some computer issues, I think. Matty Ray. Yeah, he was talking to him earlier on today, and I think he's got some. I think his computer stopped working, but he's in there supporting the team. So good to see from Matty Ray, and certainly hope to see him back on the track soon.
Yes, and Ruben Phelps is all over. Let's have a look how close he actually is. Let's bit of smoke on the track here. Have you got anything? There's a car going in the pits there on the left.
Yeah, that looks like the 420. That's the new guy.
As Davey Douglas said, he's looking very loose in the rear. He has just managed to save that somehow, and he's getting swallowed up by Knight, Russell, and Jones. Jones seems to be in the wrong spot.
The front stretch. There's contact there and everything, going 3 wide through the flat kinks in the front stretch there, and Dave's having a look. He's not taking no for an answer there. He's underneath Knight. He's going to want to at least get that done.
But remember, he's got hot tyres right now. He was very sideways.
Yeah, and he's still struggling with it. He needs to get those cooled down, but he's definitely sliding the thing about. And he tried to get underneath Knight there, didn't get that done. They were 3 wide across the front stretch. Now we see Jones getting underneath him as well, and having a bit of a look there. So we'll see how this one resolves. I would say that it's likely with those tyres the way they are. Well, I was going to say it was probably going to resolve in Jones's favour, but Dave's had not really got a fantastic run off for turn 2, but now he's diving underneath Knight again into turn 3.
And something's like Kobe Jordan and Tom Neal of just diving in under Ryan Jones here. Whether Ryan Jones has something wrong with his car or he's just in the worst spot with every little incident that's happening. It's the worst spot for the restart of this caution, and now he's been checked up by Davey Douglas and lost a few more spots there, but he just doesn't seem to be having the best race right now, as Kobe Jordan is not making it easy for Ryan Jones to get back past him either.
Yeah, I mean, this is what happens, isn't it? Like, he restarted in a bad lane, and we talked last week about how important it is, and it's really not under your control at all. But to who you restart behind, who's with you, who's there, because you're not allowed to pull out and make any passing moves before the start-finish line. So if you start behind someone who's slow, it can really hurt you, and it can cost you a few positions. So that would have got him a little bit hot under the collar. Then he had a little bit of an issue with Skurlock blinking and stuff like that. That would have got him a little bit hot under the collar as well. And now he's just trying to make moves, and they're just not working. You know, he's sort of winding up on the wrong part of the track. Yellow flag. I'll continue that thought later on. Looks like Greg Spencer potentially involved in that. We'll go back and have a quick look at it. But yeah, we'll finish that thought in a minute.
Yep. This is going to play. So Witcher hasn't gone back a lap. So here we go. So Nathan Rawlock gets.
Right, Rawlock's gone up into the side of, looks like Davidson. He might have even copped a little whack there from Spencer behind.
Yeah, I reckon there's contact.
Yeah, and he's spun around, and yeah, he's got a lot of damage on that one, unfortunately. So yeah, taking that straight back to pit lane. But I would imagine we're going to see, well, let's see how they play the strategy right now, because there's going to be a definite advantage to come down and get more tyres, but they haven't been on green for that long. Yeah. So what do they do? It looks like they're all going to come down again, and no, the front two are coming down. The Danny G's decided to stay out. Ruben Phelps has decided to stay out. Jaden Russell's come down the pit lane. Dave Douglas has come down the pit lane. Not surprising there. Ryan Jones, he's come down the pit lane. Knight has stayed out. Kobe Jordan, what's he done? He's in the lane. Kobe's in the lane as well. So a real mixed bag of strategies there, and this just got interesting.
Definitely did. So that's 20 laps these guys are on their rubber. So there's 40 odd laps to go. There's the top 9 have all stayed out. Good old Norman Clark, I love him. Up to 9th, up 12 positions by staying out there. But he has 21 lap old tyres. Greg Spencer, who was the one who was involved in spinning Nathan Rawlock there, he's up 21 positions because he stayed out. Matty Hunter, up 27 positions by staying out. They've got to be paying for another caution straight up, don't they?
Yeah, not straight away, because that just won't change anything.
Hold on. Some of them are going in now. Some of them are starting to head in again.
Yeah, and just on that wreck as well, I don't think Spencer had too much to do with it. It looks as though Rawlock and Davidson, they sort of got together, and that's caused them to check up, and Spencer just hasn't been up. He was so close behind, he just hasn't had the time to get on the brakes. So although he was the one who kind of spun Rawlock around, that it really wasn't anything to do with him. But yeah, we're not going to be looking for these guys who stayed out. They're not going to be looking for another caution straight away, because if there's another caution straight away, they come down the pit lane. All they've done is put themselves at the back for no good reason, and they're on only 1 lap better tyres than anybody else, because they're not taking a lot out of their tyres right now. So what those guys who stayed out are going to be waiting for, they're going to be hoping in around about sort of 20 laps. Maybe there's another caution, something like that. Something that may make the guys who just stopped stay out, and they can come in, they can get fresh tyres, and they can get that tyre advantage, and they can enjoy some of that as well. So, and also there's the added bonus of keeping a tyre set in the bank for late in the race, depending on what happens.
I'm just looking down this field. Jai Schultz is currently on the lead lap. I think he's got himself back up there.
Yeah, so he would have got the lucky dog, I think, because he was battling with Malone for that lucky dog spot. They were both 1 lap down, and it looks as though Schultz has actually got past Malone when the caution came out. So being the first car 1 lap down, he's actually managed to get the wave around, get his lap back. And it looks as though, just an update on the retirements, it looks as though Braden Shute, Michael Skurlock and Nathan Rawlock have decided to call it a night.
Yeah, I think Skurley might have been a forced one for him. I'm just going to try to go through. So Jamie Budd, a 3.3 second stop in pit lane.
Well, that's just to top up the fuel then, isn't it?
Yeah, so he's going to be like the others up ahead of him, but hasn't got the track position out of it. Oh, he got a little bit of track position. He's up 18 positions, which is not a little bit, but...
Yeah, he's doing all right. He's having a solid run there. Started at the back, and now he's in the midfield. So, yeah, that's a respectable performance if he finishes there, definitely.
Yeah, Noddy Tompkins in the booth last week, up 15 spots into 25th. Well done there. Clayton Davies finds himself in 4th. The best part is all these cars at the front are on the same length tyre, so they will be able to battle. They will be racing together at the same pace. It'll be Hamish Gallagher, the first one who did stop, will be the one that'll have to try and work his way through them with Micklemore, and Russell now up with that group of guys, as you can see there, 10th, 11th and 12th, all pitted, only 2 to 3 laps to go as we get ready to go green.
Yeah, it's a very interesting top 5 there as far as the guys who've taken the tyres. So that top 5 being, as you mentioned, Gallagher, Micklemore, Russell, Douglas and Jones all took rubber. And as we were just saying before, I've been in a situation which Ryan found himself in, where every time you make a move, you seem to wind up behind somebody like who holds you up or whatever. You've just got to take a deep breath and calm down, because if you get angry, that's just going to lead to problems for him. So he's just got to use this caution. Came at a good time for him. Take a deep breath, get yourself sorted out, and now clear, eyes forward, and get going. So Danny G is going to be leading them away on slightly used tyres alongside Ruben Phelps, Matt Knight, Clayton Davies up there. Interesting front 2 rows to see those guys get going. Luke Georgeson lives just around the corner from me, Luke, actually, down there in Port Wollonga, so he's in P6. As they all jump away, Danny G away to a good lead. Knight gets away pretty well as well. He's got a bit of overlap on Ruben Phelps there, and looks as though he might be able to get underneath Ruben. And no time to throw a block in that one. He's managed to get underneath Ruben, keeping it pretty high and wide around there, keeping the throttle in. He might be able to drive off the turn a little bit better, and he has done. So he's actually maintained that P2, and that's all he could realistically ask for from there. Meanwhile, I think the Greek Spencer may have actually had a little bit of a contact with somebody, and I think I saw his car just running around on the wall, and that's a shame for him, because he restarted in P9. And, he definitely got a touch from, might have even been Gallagher. No, was it? Yeah, Gallagher. Got a touch from Gallagher and sent him up into the wall. So he's coming down pit road, actually. So that's his top 10 gone begging.
Yeah, after all that effort. So bad luck there. I would go back and check it out, but we've got 2 wide as these front, the previous front runners with fresh tyre coming through the field. Davey Douglas wide again. And loose. Yeah,
he nearly ran in the back of Georgeson. Is it Georgeson? I think it is. He nearly ran the back of Georgeson. Gallagher's just cutting straight across the grass, if you don't mind. 3 wide into turn 1. We've got a mixture of tyre ages, a mixture of experience there. And they've got 3 wide into turn 1. Gallagher making moves there as well.
There we go. So, Clayton Davies has hit Jaden Russell and put him into the wall, but they both survived. That was a pretty big hit, so there must be a little bit of damage there to both of them, I think.
Yeah, and the 15's just dragged across the back. Pritchard has dragged across the front of Russell there as well. Russell's going to get by him. There's certainly been a big change up in the order there, as positions are just going up and down further than faster. And then you can even tell as the fresh tyre guys try to make their way to the front, and the guys who stayed out are trying to hang on for dear life.
Yeah, and all while this is happening, Danny G has a good 1 second lead at the front and extending that fairly quickly. As I try, there we go, we cross to him now, making a good effort to it. But Josh Micklemore, with those fresh set of rubber and a good bit of luck, has made himself up in front of Hamish to second place, with Davey Douglas behind, trying to hold on as well. I know Davey Douglas is on the fresh set of tyres. I'm looking at the wrong number. So these 3 are about to take control of the lead again. Jaden Russell's just got to get past Knight and Phelps, and he will be up there as well, and we're back to a bit of a normality. Luke Trahair, winner of last week's round, is in chat. Go Davey Douglas. Let's go Davey Douglas. I want to see him actually have a really good run.
Move for the lead, Josh Micklemore. He's bridged that gap to his teammate, and there's fresh tyres for you. That's what fresh tyres are going to do for you. He's going to get right underneath there. Now, interesting little thing to remember as well is, can the guys who stayed out make the end? Because I can guarantee you that Josh Micklemore can make the end. Dave Douglas should be able to make the end. Hamish Gallagher can make the end. All those guys that came down the pit lane can definitely make the end. Can the guys that stayed out?
Yeah,
that's the other thing. They're going to have a set of tyres in the bank.
Yep.
So if a late caution comes out, they're in a really good spot. Danny G is in a really good spot if we get a caution with around about 10 to 20 to go, because I'm not 100% sure if all those guys who came in are now on their last set of tyres. And if Danny G can come in with this kind of tyre advantage, he can go out and win this race. But right at the moment, Josh Mickelmore has come all the way from 20th into P1. Dave Douglas has come from 22nd on the grid to P2, and they're going to be hoping it goes green to the end because they are very, very satisfied with the way this is turning out right now.
Yeah, no, that's a very good first two there, up 19 and 20 places there. I was just quickly looking at that number of stops that they've taken. So the top three have all taken 3. Danny G's only taken 2 stops. So whether they took tyres on each one of those is not necessarily showing on my stats, but
I believe they did. We've got 3 wide behind. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah,
We've got 3 wide behind as they just sort of sort themselves out. We've got a nice little battle pack with Davidson, Witcher, Stephen Williams is in there, Matt Knight, Ruben Phelps as they sort of fall back through the field a little bit. And now we've even got Aiden Schultz. We haven't talked about him much since the beginning of the race, but he's starting to fight his way back up right now as he closes up on the back of Jaden Russell. Russell looks as though he might be struggling a little bit with that damage because I think he was one who did come down and take tyres, but there doesn't look to be a lot of speed in that car at the moment for him. So he could be suffering a little bit with that damage we talked about.
Yeah, definitely. You could see it almost straight away that he dropped off from the back of the ones that he was running with, which was Dave Douglas, Hamish Gallagher and Josh Mickelmore. And Aiden Schultz does get past him on the straight fairly easily. So there's a lack of speed. You can see his bonnet just on that front right hand side there is just sticking up a little bit. I was just about to shout out to Jay Schultz. We'll talk about him before on a different strategy from everyone else. Has made his way back up to 13th from being 2 laps down there at one stage. So very good effort there from him.
And Ben Vickers, don't forget. Ben Vickers we saw taking the wave around earlier on, and he had a bit of damage on that car. Started 31st, now running up there in P15. So a good run there from him. But one of the best runs of the night, I think, that we do need to talk about that we haven't really covered is Tom Neal sitting up there in 4th position. After Dark Sim Racing, they always have a lot of support, a lot of vocal support after Dark Sim Racing. They are quite a big team, certainly on the road side. And they've got Luke Georgeson in the field running 22nd at the moment, but Tom Neal all the way up there in 4th. And he's got Ryan Jones on the back of him. But, running there, having a great run there in the top 5. Fantastic.
Yeah, definitely is. He is one of the ones on fresh tyres. He's got 14 lap old tyres. So he's got the pace that everyone else has got. Ryan Jones, you should see whether he can get up on and past him. But these front 3 are making it look fairly simple right now. We'll just wait and see. I was going to say, we just wait and see what the next 20 laps unfold because there's a lot of strategy to play out just yet.
Yeah, definitely. Let's not forget that this top 3 that are breaking away from the field, we'd expect them to do that. They have been 3 of the top drivers in ANZCAR, in Australia and New Zealand stock car racing, sim racing for years. These guys have been doing this for a long, long time. They've been at the front for a long, long time. You put those guys near the front of a pack on fresh tyres, they more likely than not are going to break away. That's what they do. They're quick and they have good long run pace. They know how to run their tyres. So great to see those 3 good old boys running there out the front. Some very familiar names to ANZCAR. And we got a few new names in there as well, but certainly these are more experienced guys showing how it's done at the moment, definitely.
I was just quickly having a look there. Danny G's the leader of those cars that did not take tyres last lap, sitting down there in 12th in pretty good position. So keep an eye out for him. If everything goes awry and we lose, we have another caution. Holding on fairly well as Jaden Russell makes his way. He's still got a little bit of pace there because he gets past. Well, he holds off Troy Davison as Troy Davison gets very close to his rear, but Troy's going to be too quick, and Witcher will get past him. Yeah, I changed my mind halfway through the call. It's fine. I know what I'm doing sometimes.
Yeah. So anyway, Russell looks as though he's struggling there a little bit. But look, another caution would be, Josh Mickelmore, Dave Douglas, Hamish Gallagher, Tom Neal, they all want it to stay exactly as it is right now, run green to the end. If that happens, they will be absolutely thrilled with it. They do not want another caution. However, the one thing that makes me think is that poor Josh Mickelmore this year, every time that he has looked in a position like this, something has gone horribly wrong. And I don't want to jinx him, so I'm not talking him up. That's why I don't want to jinx him. I'm talking him down. I'll say that he has had some shocking luck this year with putting himself in positions like this. But, of course, as we said last week, you can do everything right and what happens, right? So, the caution comes at the wrong time and it ruins your race. So I've got my fingers crossed for Josh. I've got my fingers crossed for Dave and Hamish, but it certainly would spice up the race if we got a late caution there as well. And Danny G sitting there in P12 at the moment would be able to come in, get some fresh boots on that car and then come tearing through the field. It depends when that caution comes. They're running out of laps. There's only about 17 to go.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's going to be interesting if these guys, if we do get another caution, as we see, that looks like Ben Vickers, is it, in the background there, getting past Matty Knight, but looking very, very anything but straight as he goes past him. He's not going to quite get the run he needs to do it. He might finish it off in a sec, but his car doesn't look the best either. But as we said, he was in that incident early on and was more laps down than he should have been, or a lap down at least, and came back through the field fairly well. It's all.
Let's have a bit of a talk about some guys that we haven't really mentioned a lot tonight. I mean, we're talking about guys like Chris Finlay, who's up there in P13 from 24th on the grid. Great drive from him. Brad Finlay started 13th, up there in 17th. Started 30th, up there in 17th position at the moment. So he's made a ton of spots. Looks as though he's going to make a move on Ruben Feltz right now. In fact, that is exactly what he does. Takes 16th position away. Norman Clark, mentioned him briefly, running there at 18th. Guys like Jamie Budd, Matt Hunter, Tom Pritchard, Noddy Tompkins, guys like that who are all sort of running, they're out there, they're still running, they're kind of in the back end of the sort of mid-20s now. But we've had a lot of retirements tonight. 41 cars started this race, and we got 27 left circulating at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. As he gets a bit wide, a bit taily there, which is not the best thing to see, as we see a little bit of a battle going on for someone we mentioned before, which was Tom Pritchard. If my timing catches up, doesn't look like Tom Pritchard.
No, it looks like he's on his own out there.
Yeah, because my timing is just, I press a button and it changes, but then it doesn't change on my screen. I'm sorry about that.
You've gone to the Carl school of blaming your timing messing up, mate.
Yeah, definitely. It's not my definitely not my fault. I don't know what you're talking about.
You'll crack out a do in a minute as you try and get it all sorted out. How you going, Carl? But looking back to the front, Tom Neal is still hanging on there in P4. I think the gap has actually closed up a little bit. Ryan Jones is catching him, but not by heaps. And if he's running well on his tyres right now, he might be able to hold on to that sort of 4th place, 5th place. It'll be a great result for him if he's able to get that done. But yeah, it all looks fairly safe and standard out the front right now as Micklemore continues to lead from Gallagher and Douglas.
Just showing you a quick look at the difference in those tyres. We are talking about 44-lap-old tyres versus 24-lap-old tyres. Danny G, the one furthest up, is on just the 32.8, with Micklemore and Gallagher doing 32.4s and 32.5s. So we were talking before about 0.2 feeling like 2 seconds. 0.4 to 0.5 would feel like an absolute mile at the moment. So yes, they're running out of laps here. 13 to go, as Carl in chat just puts a few dots there. I don't think he was impressed with that little comment. But that's okay.
I've got the mic tonight, mate. I've got the mic tonight, so I can use it. Just want to give. I mean, we did mention just briefly Chris Finlay as well. He's just sitting there on the back of Danny G, and he's one guy that doesn't really get a huge amount of coverage normally because he's just sort of safe and stable, doesn't get involved in too much nonsense, and always sort of brings home these consistent results. So here he is again, sitting just outside the top 10, running P13. It could even get better for him yet before the end of the race. Did have a really good second place last year at Watkins Glen, I believe. He ran a 0-stop strategy and stayed out. Wow. And managed to actually get to the end of the race without stopping and pulled home a P2, I believe it was. Held off. Oh, who was he holding off? I think he might have been trying to hold off Josh Micklemore at the end, as he just gives the wall a bit of a rub.
Ben Vickers in the background looked very out of control as well.
It's a couple of guys starting to struggle out there. Vickers is just side by side with Finlay at the minute, and those two are disputing 15th place.
Yeah, definitely. Just going back up because I think Ryan Jones is starting to catch up from the timing monitors to Tom Neal here, and Tom's just slowly dropping off the pace here a little bit, ever so slightly. He's in the 32.7s. We'll talk about the 32.4s and 32.5s before. So Ryan Jones has him set up to move up to a 4th position here in the next lap or two. Aiden
Yeah.
Schultz, as always, he's always up there, just sitting behind,
Here he
watching what
goes.
happen.
Oh, has a look. You just notice the way, and I can tell you what's going on there because Tom Neal, he's just entering a little bit too shallow into the turn. If you have a look at what Ryan Jones is doing, he's actually arcing it into the turn, turning in late and driving it straight off the turn, and that helps to look after that outside front tyre. Now, Tom Neal, he's entering a little bit lower, a little bit narrower, and it's just a little bit extra steering time that he's having to put into that by comparison to Ryan Jones, and I think that is the difference there that you've seen and why Ryan's been able to take away that 4th place. So now he'll be looking at hanging on to that 5th. He's only got a handful of laps to go, but he's got one of the most aggressive men on the track, Aiden Schultz, in there behind him. So he might drop that one yet, but even if he loses that place to Schultz as well, P6, absolutely nothing to be ashamed of.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's having a great run as he starts to use that different line, isn't it? And he just right there, you can see him lose all. Oh, there you go. He's just vanished from the server.
Okay, he's back.
But you
saw that too.
You could see that where he was holding with Ryan, even gaining on him, and then all of a sudden he dropped like a brick in water, and Aiden Schultz was all over him. Like you can see here, he gets past him, but he just can't get that exit speed, and Aiden just puts the foot down and just gets away and makes the move. Yeah. For 5th place.
Yeah, he's killed the right front, unfortunately, just with those shallower entries. And it's a easy mistake to make when you're new because you feel you've got all this grip there in the front of the car and you want to use it all. But if you do and you don't take care of it, then you start to lose pace as the race goes on, and that's exactly what's happened to him there. But still, he doesn't look likely to get caught by Justin Witcher at this stage, who's still sitting there about 3 seconds behind him. So he should be solid for P6, which is a really good night. So I don't think he'd be too upset even losing those 2 spots. But back to the front, we haven't got long to go now. Josh Mickelmore continues to lead by 1.9 seconds. He will have his fingers and toes and eyebrows, if he can, crossed to make sure that there is not going to be another caution. He does not want a caution. He just wants to click off these last few laps and come across the line, take the victory. And from the position he started, you can say that is absolutely well-deserved if you manage to pull it off.
So the number one commentator says it was Finlay holding off Hamish at the Glen. As the car 15 in the background there, I think that Tom Pritchard is all over the place. David Douglas goes underneath him. He's struggling right now. He hit the wall pretty hard then and almost went into, I think it was Hamish or close to.
Dave. I think it was Dave.
Yeah, so he's struggling here. 5 laps. We've got to hold on, everyone. That's all you got to do. These guys that are sitting on 51 and 52 lap old tyres. Questions for fuel, I guess, is another thing. For these guys, but they've just got to hold on 5 more laps to go. It was holding off Hamish, I think it said at the short, but he's not quite sure about that. Let's go back here. So I don't want to say it, but he's looking really good. Josh Mickelmore, as he goes.
Don't say it.
Don't say it. The lap. I don't want to. Let's go. We've got 4 laps. Let's go look.
We're going to talk about somebody else.
Here you go. Look at this. Norman Clark is an absolute legend all over the back of Ben Vickers as he tries to make a move stick to get himself up into the top 15 with 4 laps to get it done. Can he do it?
Well, that car still looks pretty clean, doesn't it? That car with Norman Clark. So he's managed to avoid the trouble tonight. So and we know that Ben Vickers is carrying a little bit of damage. So perhaps Norman can actually get that done. So Norman's starting to close on the back of him there. How aggressive is he going to be? There's only a handful of laps to go. So if he's going to do it, he wants to do it now. Certainly that you'd expect the 09 to be a bit faster than the 77 at this point in the race. But certainly not taking chunks out of him, that's for sure.
No, I was just having a look. Raymond Yeager seems to be going almost a second off his normal pace. But Tom Pritchard was going pretty slow again. So just trying to keep on those two. Don't seem to be any more damage or anything else. They've just definitely dropped off a cliff as far as pace goes. But
easy enough to do. And we've got, just having a look a little bit further forward than that, we've got a few cars in the line here. Danny G trying to get past Jay Schultz. Looks as though he's got a bit more pace than that car does get underneath. Knight's going to follow him, and it looks like Finley's going to follow him. So, definitely. Oh, Knight just looking, almost getting into the back of Danny G there, and now falling back into the clutches of Finley as Danny G finally clears Schultz. And Schultz is going to have another look underneath. But
I'm looking at the other Schultz with final lap, waved flag. Aiden and Ryan Jones are not going to leave anything left on the table. This could end well.
These two on the final lap, there's going to be contact. There has to be. But I don't want to take the attention away from Josh Mickelmore either at the moment because we are on the white flag lap, so he's safe from a caution. And, it looks as though Aiden might have that move done on Ryan. Ryan coming back around the outside. Josh Mickelmore's going to cross the line and win this one.
Done.
So fantastic job for Josh. He's broken that hoodoo and he's across the line.
And Aiden Schultz in the fourth.
Schultz got Ryan Jones right there on the line. Gallagher second, Douglas third, Schultz fourth, Ryan Jones fifth. Tom Neal holding on for sixth. Great run from him.
Whoa.
Witcher, Davidson, Russell.
Wow. Williams just got Russell. I want to have a look at that distance later on if I can. That was very close. My timing board says 4/100ths of a second. Let's go.
There's not much in that, is there?
No. I want to look at the chopper from this angle. But then we'll start and wrapping this one up. This is the battle for 9th, sorry. You can see how beat up that car is from the top after that one little mistake into the wall. But CV Dub's got a little bit of damage there as well in the rear. But these two battling it out for 9th, 10th, and I thought it was a lot closer than that, but I think he gets a run on him just towards the end there.
Yeah, some very close finishes up and down the field. Wasn't that close for the win, though. 1.2 seconds between Mickelmore and Gallagher there at the end, and a good few more in between Gallagher and Douglas. So the top three fairly spread out. Very close finish there for fourth, and some other finishes quite close down the grid. So, definitely a decent finish, much less chaotic than what we saw last week, wasn't it? So,
yes.
Really good to see a nice, clean finish to the race. We might just run through your finishing order real quick just before we get the drivers up here for some interviews.
Yeah, I'm just going to get Josh's burnouts on screen because he'll kill me if I don't show that action in the background while we do it. So
get onto that.
Let's get
onto that.
The results. Let's hide the top 15. Let's show the results as he flicks it in and just goes nuts with it. Luke Tress says, "And you're a natural on the comms, mate." There you go.
I'm not sure if I should be should I be happy with that or not. Natural on the comms. Does that mean I should stay the hell off the track? I'm not sure. But Josh Mickelmore giving us a bit of a Polish victory lap there as well, and chucking a few doughies on the back straight as well. He might, but if you've got the positions up there, we will run through the final positions. Josh Mickelmore winning the race, as we did mention, from Gallagher and Douglas. Aiden Schultz just pinching fourth place off of Ryan Jones there right at the end. Tom Neal holding on for that sixth place. Then we go back to Witcher, Davidson. Good run from him. A good run for both of those two, actually, finishing up there in the top 10. Stephen Williams, Jaden Russell managing to hang on for P10 despite that damage and despite getting passed by seemingly everybody there at the end of the race, still managed to hang on for P10. Danny G rolled the dice on strategy, didn't he? Wound up P11. Could have been so much more with a little bit different circumstance. Jay Schultz managed to resurrect that night that looked to be going so badly and come back up into P12. Great finish from him. Finlay in 13th. Matt Knight ran up the front for so much of the night, didn't he? Wound up P14. Vickers, another one who managed to pull an absolute Houdini type escape, pull up there into 15th position. Then we got Norman Clark, Chris Finlay, Ruben Phelps. He would have been hoping for a lot more than that. Jamie Budd, Raymond Yeager there rounding out the top 20. And the only two other cars we had on the leave lap were Matt Hunter and Clayton Davies, with your cars one lap down being Luke Georgeson, Tom Pritchard, Adam Malone and Noddy Tompkins, last week's podium getter himself. And then Kobe Jordan 5 laps down, and then we start to get into the retirees. Closey, Spencer, Rollock, Skurlock, Shute, Patton, Hobbs, Densley, Linda, McLeod, Dortnack. There are a lot of retirements tonight, although it didn't seem like a messy race. Campbell and Hoppett as well dropping out of that one. So that is your complete finishing order. A lot of retirements for what was quite a clean race, actually. So I believe we should have the place getters up there in the booth, which we do. So, Wilco, might get you to take it away and drag in our podium.
I can do that. I don't know what I'm doing, though, but I can definitely do that. Look at that, Davey Douglas. Let's bring him up.
Okay.
You fucking got I think it was
Hey,
Luke.
we're live on air. What are you doing?
Davey!
Hey!
We just thought we'd shout over the top of you then, just for no reason at all.
Because I was talking to Normie.
Yeah, well, talking is one way to put it. But, yeah, anyway. P3 tonight, mate. Talk us through it.
Yeah, it was a bit of a slow burner to start with. I was P nowhere in qualifying. I don't know. I just couldn't find the groove, couldn't find the line. And then just chipped away at it, as you do, mate. 20 laps in, we get that first caution, check the tyre wear versus everyone else, and I was pretty well off. I was probably about 15% better than everyone else, so I just sort of stuck to my same line, I guess, through that whole race, and just slowly worked my way forward. And then there was a bit of a mix-up. We were sideways there at one point, up against the wall, running into people, mate. It was a ball tear at the end. It was fun.
Well, you're one of those blokes that we see, and I did mention this at the start of the race, actually, that we often see looking for different lines. You're the first one to sort of move to a midline or a top line and try and get that working. But tonight we didn't see so much of that. As you say, you just really sort of stuck to that bottom line and made that work for you. Was that just where you were comfortable, or was it just sort of general knowledge amongst everybody that nowhere was going to work at the bottom?
No, these cars, they were just, there was nothing up top. Like, there's a big bump into turn 3, and as soon as you hit that, like in this car, it literally turned the car right, basically. So I was trying just to keep it down off that, and then just work on getting the run. You got to be patient, sit on that white line, just be patient, and then you get to drive off. So you got to look up the right front, and that's what I found sort of worked for me early in that race. Was able to get the passes on the actual exit, just being patient on the throttle. So that worked, but yeah, it was pretty exciting with those mixed tyre strategies at the end there.
Yeah, it definitely was, and that's roll the dice and stay out, but certainly makes it a lot more entertaining from our point of view. And we, as you say, like last week, we saw some differing strategies, but yeah, it all kind of shook out at the end, and we were sort of saying that yourself and Mickelmore and the like were going to be, we're not going to be wanting that last caution. Did you use all your tyre sets, or did you have one in the bank?
No, I used them all, so I stopped. I think every caution there, I stopped. So yeah, it was good, like trying to get through the field with these other guys on tyres, and you know who you're sort of racing, and just trying to put the picks in place and whatever else, or try something else. I know I went 3 wide, I went around under the Georgeson maybe at one point, which was pretty cool. But then just sort of got to the front, and then I had Josh in front of me. He did a good job. He just drove off very slowly, and Hamish, I was keeping him at bay, but there was like 2 laps where I just got massive push through 1 and 2 where I just had to back out of it, and when he got past, that was one of them, and there's nothing I could do. I tried to fight him on the outside, nearly put myself on the floor. But anyway, good race. That was fun.
All right. Now, at the end of the day is what we're here for, not racing for sheep stations or anything. So Dave Douglas, 22nd to 3rd, had a great time doing it. It was great viewing. Shouts out, mate, before we let you go.
Oh, yeah, just shout out to the Bandits. Shout out to you guys. Shout out for Ed with the power of the mute button. That was good, mate. That was some bit of entertainment there too. So, shout out to Josh. Obviously, he's had a bad run lately, but yeah, he's got himself a win tonight, so that's well done to him. And I guess just shout out to Jake Blackall. Oh, and obviously the Mad Dogs at Locked On Lads iRacing.
Never heard of them. Are they good, are they?
Big dog Wilco.
Mate, Dave's good to have you in the booth, mate. I was hoping you're going to get there in the end. Can I ask you one question before I kick you out of here?
Yeah, mate.
Why is your car always so loose in the rear?
Oh, that's the way I drive it, mate. Just set her up like a dirt track car, mate. I love it. Love a bit of looseness, mate. You know how it is.
Yeah, that's it.
But mainly just to entertain you, mate. I knew you'd be watching, and as long as I provided some entertainment for you, mate, that's not done for me.
You've done well. We will talk to you again very soon, I'm sure, because you win all the races. You're elite. You never have bad accidents or anything like that. So we'll catch you very soon, mate. Well done tonight.
Too easy. Love you guys. See ya.
All right. Well, that was your 3rd place finisher, Dave Douglas. Likes a loose back end, as it turns out. Good to know.
I teed him up for that perfectly. It was great.
you tee him up. It's low-hanging fruit, mate. You've got to take it where you can get it.
That's it.
All right. So P2, Hamish Gallagher, we'll drag him up and have a bit of a chat with him and see how his race played out. Here he is. Hamish Gallagher started in the top 5, finished in the top 5, led a few laps. Probably the most Hamish thing ever, I reckon. How did it play out from your point of view?
Yeah, no, that's pretty much how it is today. But I'm just glad to finish this one. The last week or so, it's been a bit rough. getting wrecked out at the end of the races. So I thought that race was going to get screwed over again. We had to have a late caution. I'd finished outside the top 20. Of like, oh man, I'm had enough of this. But yeah, finally finished one of these things. It's good.
So we were actually talking about that, and Dave was one of the ones who sort of was on the same strategy as you and said that he used all of his sets of tyres. I imagine you're in the same boat, and a caution would have pretty much spelled the end of you towards the end of that race.
Yeah, it would have been Dan and Ruben fighting it out if we'd had a late caution. So yeah, that would have been interesting. Would have been a repeat of last week. But yeah, I didn't want to get caught out on old tyres. It was like, I always want to be on the right, on the best set of tyres you can. So it was a big gamble to pit. That many laps to go and use your last set. But yeah, finally did the right strategy, which is good.
It's kind of a bit of a, yeah. I mean, this is one of the things that we talked about last week in the broadcast was you can do everything right, and the caution falls at the wrong point, and that's your race done. And it was almost a case of sort of 50-50. If you came down the pit lane, we saw a lot of guys stay out, and either one of those strategies could have worked out. And in the end, it was yours that worked out. We didn't get that late caution that probably a lot of us were expecting. We saw a couple of guys racing real hard who we thought might bring that caution out. And I believe you had a little bit of contact as well with Greg Spencer as you were working your way past him.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of room to go free wide, and Greg sort of just turned down a bit to me. I thought that was my race done, but damage didn't seem too bad. But I'm quite happy to finish second, to be honest. I think Josh was a little bit faster than me all night, and he was looking after his tyres better. So I think if he'd got to me, he probably would have passed me anyway. So as it turns out, went up and down quite a bit, but ended up just finishing where I probably deserved to finish anyway. So yeah, but hey, that's what oval racing is. It's you can have a caution come at any moment. It completely turns the race on its head. That's what we're all here for. It's what we like about oval racing. So didn't work out last week, but it worked out this week. So good.
Happy days. But yeah, definitely one of those where the stats probably don't tell the whole story. Started second, finished second doesn't really tell the story of your night at all. There was certainly a lot of mixed strategy out there and close calls and things like that. A few cautions thrown in the mix as well. And come away with the P2. I think you could probably be well happy and probably gets your points a little bit healthier than they would have been after the race last week, where it really didn't seem as though any fault of your own, you wound up way down the order. So it kind of kicks off your season. I guess you can kind of look at it and say that your season starts here.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, that's number one drop round done, and the next one will probably be at either next week or it'll be or Knoxville, one of those. So I'm gonna have to race my butt off the rest of this time. But yeah, you know how it is, Ed. So we're just
regrettably, yes, I do. Regrettably, yes, I do. So not too much to say.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you'll be out here next week, I take it. We're going to hopefully, if not in the com box.
So long as I'm not in the booth.
He will not be in the booth. I will find someone to talk with me. It's a road track, so I've got plenty of road experts to sit with me. It's fine.
Oh yeah,
outside experts. That's what we want. Excellent.
There'll be there'll be safety cars and all kinds of things happening next week. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, he can just do the old race cam spec. Can be like Dick Johnson driving one-handed.
I don't know if I'd get away with the Irish jokes that he got away with back in the day, but maybe we could afford to crack out a few. We'll see. But yeah, definitely. Excellent run from you tonight, Hamish Gallagher. Shouts out before we let you go.
Yeah, well done to the boss getting a win. It's been a long time coming. He's had a rough year and pretty much everything he's driven. So yeah, he's been working hard on the setup. So we'll see how that goes tomorrow night. Well done to Dave as well, finally getting finishing a race, and not only that, getting a good result. He looked at a little bit of damage there, so I think he was just kind of struggle to hold me off. But it's good to see him get a top three. It's well done. Thank you to everyone turning up. A big field. It's good to see all these new people rocking up and giving it a go. And yeah, just thank you to ANZCAR and the Mad As Designs and Affinity Construction Australia and Locked On Lads.
Excellent. Well, there you have it. Your second place getter, Hamish Gallagher. Thanks very much for joining us. And hopefully we'll see you, well, not necessarily me, because hopefully I won't be up here, but we'll see you next week.
I've already kicked him out. So here we go. We're going to bring in...
Kicked him out?
Yeah, kicked him out. We're getting ready for the big one. So we're going to bring up Josh Micklemore to the channel. Take it away, Ed. Let's find out what he's all about.
Well, I'm going to say to you, Josh, what you say to everybody else, and that is It's about time, mate.
I do actually say that, yeah.
You said that to me after my very first ANZCAR win, mate, and it's been a while, so it's about time, but you're back up here. So talk us through how that played out from your point of view.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a year so far for me, unfortunately. But, yeah, qualifying didn't go to plan. Started, 20th or something. So sort of knew what the car was going to do, long run. So we just looked after our stuff and picked a few guys off, and everyone was starting to fall off after about 30 laps, and we're moving through. So, yeah, we're just doing our thing and just saving the tyres as best we could and try to be up there at the end.
Well, we did kind of mention you earlier on that you probably weren't going to be happy with the qualifying, but one of the other things that we mentioned is just based on the way that your year has gone so far, that as soon as you played a strategy to stay out the front and you needed no caution, there was bound to be one. And lo and behold, there wasn't. So something actually went your way for a change, which is we were very careful not to talk about you at the end. We sort of got to that stage where we were almost talking you up. We're like, no, let's go away from Josh. Let's not talk about him. And I think we only cut back to you as you rounded the last turn and tried to stay away, just to try and shoo away any black cats that might still be following your progress.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because it has been like that this year, and before it went green on that last restart, myself and Hamish actually said, well, good win, Daniel. We're going to get a caution, but good win, man. Hoping that he could, do it, but yeah.
Yeah, well, he was the one in the box seat if another caution came out, of course, being the first car, I think, that had a spare set of tyres left. And honestly, the way your season's been going so far, I wouldn't follow you on any strategy because you almost know it's going to go horribly wrong, but this one turned out well. There are a few close calls sort of throughout the field, and we talked to Hamish a little bit about what it was like trying to come through the field with that mix of strategies with some guys on old tyres and all the rest of that. How did it work out from your perspective?
Yeah, especially at first, straight off the start, a lot of guys were racing overdrive dramatically, in my opinion, and I was just keeping the nose clean, just following behind them, and then just let them wear their crap off, and then I literally just went underneath them and flew by like 4 of them one lap after a while. So just there was definitely a lot of close calls tonight because of that. But yeah, like I said, we're just trying to keep the nose clean and just let them do their thing, and then we'll hopefully don't get any cautions and get around them.
Well, it's definitely good to see you back where you belong, up there in Victory Lane. It's, as we say, it's definitely been a while. Not as long as it's been for me, but haven't had an ANZCAR win yet this year. But this isn't about me, it's about you. You got the good result there tonight. And we'll let you give the shouts out to all your adoring public.
Yeah, cheers. Just thanks to all the boys on Mitch Motorsports, all the hard work, and Affinity Constructions Australia for their sponsorship this year, and Mad As Designs as well, for putting the 6 schemes on our cars. And ANZCAR, Wilco, all that you guys do for the streams and stuff, it's bloody brilliant. And all the other boys that were racing tonight, it was close, hard racing. So yeah.
All right, fantastic. Well, there it is, your first place getter, Josh Mickelmore, taking out the win tonight ahead of his Mitch Motorsport teammate Hamish Gallagher with, as we mentioned, Dave Douglas in 3rd position. So I guess it's time to round it all up, Wilco. What do you make of it? It
is like another good race. The strategy we sort of missed last week, we were promised for so long. I think it was a 90% an amazing race last week on strategy, and then we sort of got robbed of it right at the end, but got some great results out of it. This is the strategy one that we were waiting for. Definitely a gamble had to be made at the not even at the end, sort of 2/3 race distance, and the right one paid off, and the winners came up. But yeah, definitely Danny G, and Matt Knight and those guys count themselves unlucky tonight after driving a really good race, showing speed at really good times of the race as well. But shout out Aiden Schultz in 4th, had a really good run at the end there. Tom Neal, big effort. Justin Witcher and Troy Davison all ending up the end of the field. As you mentioned, Ben Vickers doing a great job. Christopher Finlay as well. There's just it's really good to see 42 cars turn up for starters, and we're missing people like Luke Trahere, last week's winner, and Matty Raymond, the stalwarts of the series. So it's really good to see such a good turnout and only 3 cautions, which is not what we expected at all.
Yeah, I mean, the guys are doing a fantastic job out there. Of course, you know, when you have a group of 42 cars like that, there's always going to be guys who make mistakes, and that's fine. That's part of racing. But we're not seeing a huge amount of them. And the issues that people are having, they're not bonehead moves. They're not people just trying something ridiculous. They're just racing things that happen, and you can accept that when that happens. And, of course, we're having the full course cautions as we have brings the field back together. But the thing that's really kind of interested me over these last 2 races, and we touched on it a number of times over the last two rounds, is the different strategies that we've had. We've had guys staying out. We've had guys taking 2 tyres, taking 4 tyres, taking fuel only. And that's not something that we've sort of seen historically. You don't see a lot of that in cup racing. You don't see a lot of it even in the trucks, and certainly before iRacing gave us the ability to limit the tyre sets, it was just a case of, you know, you go green for 3 laps, caution comes out, everybody comes down and gets a fresh set because the advantage is that big. Now you've got so many mixed strategies and guys are rolling the dice, and that just makes it really interesting for everybody. It makes it, you don't know who's gonna do what, whether it's going to turn out right at the end for them, whether something's going to come up late and rob them. There's so much unpredictability right up to the last lap with these races so far. And guys are being brave. Guys are, as we said, rolling the dice. They're trying something different and putting it all on the line. They're putting all their eggs in a basket and really making that bet. So it's great to see. And it really spices things up from a spectator point of view, certainly. And I've enjoyed both of them.
Yeah, definitely. It's great to see them willing to take these chances. Anything could have happened tonight, just like it did last week. And we got, it was just a great result either way. No matter what happened at the end there, it was really good racing the whole way through. But that wraps us up for Charlotte Motor Speedway, round 2 of the ANZCAR Thunder Series, season 2 for 2022. Well done, Josh Micklemore. Great effort, Hamish Gallagher, and awesome job at Davey Douglas. This has been Locked On Lads TV. Thank you, Edward Foster, for sitting in the number 1 chair as the number 2 commentator. You've done a great job again tonight.
Second choice voice all the way, mate.
That's it. Bring him home. Hopefully we'll get Carl back soon. And hopefully I'll get to call you having a really good race next week. All the road specialists will be out next week, which will be good to see. But we've got a later than normal version of Locked On iRacing podcast coming out later this week. We've got the new Paddock podcast, which is for the Logitech G Supercar Pro Invitational Series. So that's out now. Go check that one out on all your feeds. Locked On Lads TV will be back this Sunday night with the Australasian Supercar E-Series. And you'll see me racing again at random stages with my new rig that's sitting behind me as well. I've been doing a little bit of practice on that. So we'll be getting ready.
You got a new rig, mate?
Yeah, mate. I've got a whole new, brand new rig. Yeah.
Oh, you should have mentioned it, mate.
Nah, I'm good. People, it's actually like it's really Anyway, we'll go into it later. It's set up nice. It's ready to go. It's
You should do a whole podcast episode on it, mate.
Nah,
It'd
mate.
be great.
Nah. We're just humble. I'm just not gonna say a word about it. It's all good. No, it's we're getting ready for the Watkins 6 hour and the Spa 24 hour at the moment. So you'll see a bit of practice for that on the streams coming up soon when we do a bit of a charity run. But that's it. Thank you, Ed, and we will be back next week, and have a good night. Bye.